Star Wars is everywhere. No matter where you look, from movies to TV shows to video games to comics, you could turn around the corner and Star Wars. It's just there. You can't escape Star Wars. Which is why for my 4th game running through on this channel, I decided to do another Star Wars game, but this will be the last Star Wars game I play for at least now, because it's getting a bit too much Star Wars, because I can't escape Star Wars. Like I said, it's everywhere, you know, TV shows, movies. I finished playing a Star Wars game, the next thing I know, Obi-Wan Kenobi's out, and you know, once that's done, what's after that? Andor. Granted, there's no movies coming out right now, but who knows? Maybe at some point. So welcome to this month's video, and today I'm going to be playing Star Wars The Clone Wars Republic Heroes. Not because I've heard the game is great, I've heard the exact opposite, but I just wanted to see if it was as bad as everyone says it is. And it's rough. But rather than just sat here looking at me, or looking at Gerard, or looking at the background with Obi-Wan and Plo Koon, just watch me play the game and make your own opinion from it. This is the 4th Star Wars game that I'm playing on channel, and I thought I'd end this whole series with easily the best Star Wars game I've ever played. Star Wars The Clone Wars Republic Heroes. And seriously, why do Star Wars games have ridiculously long titles? First it was Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and now it's Star Wars The Clone Wars Republic Heroes. And I'm supposed to make YouTube video titles from these games, and I can't fit them in the full title. It maxes out the word count. And you know, nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about if I just name it Republic Heroes. I could be talking about anything like Star Trek. Republic Heroes was released in 2009, a whole year after The Force Unleashed. Keep that in mind, please. Developed by Chrome Studios, known for creating Ty the Tasmanian Tiger games. Jesus. The first 2 Legend of Spyro games, and guess what? The first one of those is actually pretty good. And the PS2, Wii, PSP, and more recently, Switch port of The Force Unleashed. The pedigree isn't, you know, Naughty Dog status, but yeah, I'd probably trust them to make a smaller Star Wars game. Maybe not a big Star Wars game, but, you know, something like Star Wars Squadrons, which came out, you know, recently for the PS4 or something. They actually made a Clone Wars game even before this one, which I didn't know about. In 2008, a year before this, they released Star Wars The Clone Wars lightsaber duels on the Wii. And I'll be honest, I've never heard or played this game, so, yeah, I'll take a look right now and I'll just... Oh. I've heard nothing but mediocre things about this game in particular leading up to playing it, and I'll be honest, the only reason I decided this would be the last Star Wars game I play, for now, was out of morbid curiosity to see if it really was as bad as everyone says. Now, I know I've said it before during my LEGO Star Wars 3 video, but I'll say it again. I love the Clone Wars TV show. I think it's amazing. It really fleshes out characters that we already love, like Obi-Wan, Padme, Anakin, Jar Jar. If I were to complain about it, the first 2 seasons are pretty weak in comparison to the rest of the show. Like, they're okay, but they're easily the least enjoyable seasons, and, you know, that's to be expected, really. Most shows I love, their first seasons tend to be a bit choppy, as everyone is finding their footing. The US Office, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and so on. Which is why I was kind of disappointed with the LEGO Star Wars 3 game, because they took episodes from Season 1 and 2 to make a game around. So imagine my joy when I discovered that Republic Heroes is set between Star Wars 1 and 2. I was ecstatic, could not contain my excitement. Woohoo. Still, I went into this game with an open heart and mind, and the outcome was honestly to be expected. About 4 hours in, I was ready to play The Force Unleashed 2 instead. Before I really looked into this game, I had all of these wild thoughts about what a Clone Wars game could be. You know, it could be a third-person shooter akin to Gears of Wars, but in the Clone Wars art style. It could be a spiritual sequel to Republic Commando, but set in, like, the Clone Wars universe, and have it be in that style, the art style. We get neither of those. We get a baby's first action platformer and a basic twin-stick shooter. It does neither of these genres well, and it's clear from the get-go that this game is meant for children, which I'm fine with. I like kids games from time to time. They help me sort of relax after playing something really heavy and, you know, taxing, like Bugsnax. Every now and then I like going back to games like, you know, Toy Story 2 on PS1, or Simpsons Hit and Run, or Leisure Suit Larry Magna Cum Laude. Loudy? One of them. So going into this knowing full well it's a game for children, obviously when I had the option of the difficulties, 2 difficulties, I obviously chose the harder difficulty because how hard could a kid's game be? I thought I could maybe get some sort of enjoyment out of it. I couldn't, or at least not much. Usually when I record gameplay for these videos, I tend to record anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours before switching the game off. I'll be honest, there were times I struggled to hit 45 minutes with this one. It's so mind-numbingly basic that you really don't have to put thought into anything you're doing. Even the platforming segments, when it decides to work, tends to just automatically aim you in the direction you need to go when you jump. As mentioned earlier, the game is split into 2 genres, 3D action platformer and twin-stick shooter. The action platforming segments are for when you're playing as a Jedi, and the twin-stick shooter segments are for when you're playing as a clone trooper. Why it's twin-stick and not just a standard third-person shooter, I don't know, but we'll talk about the Jedi segments first. You play as various Jedi in the game, from Anakin to Ayla Security. You even get to play as fan-favorite Padawan Ahsoka Tano, and...
Whoa, that's one big tinny. Those tinnies don't know when to give up.
And guess what? They all feel and play exactly the same. So the difference in characters is purely cosmetic. They all have the same attacks, moves, and overall feel. So I can't even sit here and tell you who I preferred playing as because I did not like playing as any of them. Right off the bat, the elephant in the room is very clearly the fixed camera angle. Why did they do this? I don't know. I wasn't a developer. Does it benefit the game in any way? No. Especially when your game has 3D platforming elements. Like you're trying to make a jump that you can't really see. Now, I know there are some games based off of TV shows that actually do benefit from a fixed camera. Take, for example, South Park, The Stick of Truth, and the Fractured Butthole. It made absolute sense for this game to use a fixed camera. If anything, it helped the game look more like the TV show than it already did. But in Republic Heroes, I'm really struggling to find a reason as to why they chose this design. It doesn't make the game look more like the show. It doesn't benefit the gameplay in any way. It just kind of gets in the way. And unless, of course, you are a literal child or a dad who can't move a character and camera at the same time. And I know you exist. I know there are people out there like that. And I guarantee you, if you're watching this, you've probably experienced, you know, the struggles of your dad, you know, trying to see him play like Halo or something. I don't know. At least that was my experience. It was different subject. I'm getting PTSD. You do kind of get used to this camera after a while, but I still feel like it would have been better with a fully controlled third-person camera. The platforming is bad. And look, I don't just want to sit here and take a massive dump on this game for about 20 to 30 minutes, but my god, the platforming just does not work. They make a bizarre gameplay choice where you don't really have to aim where you're jumping. So, for example, if you're jumping from a floating rock to another floating rock, you just push the analog stick in the direction of the rock and jump. Like, you don't have to aim, just go in that direction. So if you're going right, just press right, it doesn't matter. Your character will just automatically jump on that rock without any precision skill required. And the best part is this doesn't even work all the time. So you'll get used to it being automatic, and then for whatever reason, some jumps just don't register and you end up falling to your death. There are times where I feel like the devs were just trying to capture like a Prince of Persia type feel to these platforming sections, but it just feels so rudimentary and dull that they completely missed the mark of what they were aiming for. And I like the idea. We've actually seen this idea since with Jedi Fallen Order. We've seen it work. The game Fallen Order balanced its platforming parts amazingly. So having a Star Wars game where you are jumping up walls and wall running and everything, it's fine. Tic-tacs, I don't care. It works. Now you can definitely argue that Respawn, the developers behind Fallen Order, had a bigger budget and more time to develop Fallen Order than Chrome did with Republic Heroes, but then I would argue that Chrome shouldn't have even they shouldn't have done it. You should know your limits. Then there's the lightsaber combat. In my opinion, nothing should be cooler in a Star Wars game than wielding a lightsaber and using the Force. Those are two things you really shouldn't mess up. Fortunately, Republic Heroes doesn't do anything interesting with its lightsaber combat for it to feel like it has any real effect. There's no real weight to them. You just spam the X button and move on. The enemies you fight don't really require any strategy in defeating them, other than with some you have to spam X just a little bit more. Also, let me ask you this. This is a hard trivia question for Star Wars fans. What's one thing a lightsaber can do when it's being shot at? Yep, that's right, kids. It deflects lasers. Now, what does deflect mean? Good, that's correct. It bounces anything back. And clearly, you know more than the developers of this game, because for some reason, the lightsabers completely disintegrates everything that's shot at them. There's no deflection. The lasers just disappear in a puff of smoke like a bad magic trick. This is literally in every Star Wars game, I think. I'll give the combat this. The animations are kind of cool. And definitely feel fit in with the rest of the show. But other than that, man, these combat segments, they just become a slog. And if anything, like, every level kind of becomes a slog because of these two gameplay elements. Every level almost consists of exactly the same things. You do some platforming, stop, kill a few waves of enemies, do some more platforming, and so on. You do get to unlock some skills, but they don't really make a huge difference to the gameplay. Your combos will now be longer and stuff like that. You unlock these with skill points, which you find around each level. And in every level, you can do these challenges that give you more skill points. But here's an issue with that. Because why would you not have more issues? The challenges in these games are a complete waste of time. I admittedly did the first few that I came across until I realized that it doesn't even matter how many skill points I get, because I seem to be getting quite a lot from literally just playing the levels anyway. And plus there are some challenges that you can just cheese. Ones where they're like, oh, see who collects the most skill points. You can literally just keep the skill points you collect once the timer runs out. You can replay these challenges as much as you want. So you do the one challenge where you collect a shed load of skill points, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and there's no limit. See, you can do them a few times, completely level up your character, even though you're only like 2 levels in, and job done. Like, don't worry about them anymore. There are other things to unlock in the game with your hard-earned skill points, like droid dances, cheats, which are basically stuff like big head mode and extra damage lightsaber, and just cheats. Basic. I don't know how else to describe them. They're just cheats. I didn't really buy those. And basically, it's something that makes the game an instant 10 out of 10. Something I wasn't ready for. Something that no matter how old you are is just the funniest thing you'll ever see. Oversized hats and masks. There's also an unexpected connection to Crash Bandicoot Crash of the Titans, the best Crash Bandicoot game. That alongside Mind Over Mutant, just 10 out of 10 games. I didn't know this feature was in the game, and that's why I was not expecting it, obviously. You can jump onto certain droids and control them. I don't know how, and I don't know why they thought this was a good idea, but you have to double jump, and you really do have to double jump. If you just jump once, then the game doesn't recognize what you're doing, even though a single jump still goes high enough to go over your enemies. You just have to double jump. Land on an enemy and either press X or Y. Y kills them instantly, and X takes control of them. They make you do this a few times in the game to get past certain puzzles. You can use this move to make enemies kill other enemies, but honestly, it can sometimes be such a pot to even just land on an enemy that you're better off just slashing the crap out of them. There are also some vehicle levels. Anyway, the clone levels play much differently, which really spun me out the first time it happened. I wasn't expecting the jump to a twin stick shooter, and it works in a way. Like, it's not broke, it's just boring. Kind of like the combat as a Jedi. It technically works, but it doesn't work well, and it's not interesting in the slightest, and it's not fun. Don't get me wrong, I do like some twin stick shooters. I can't name one, but I like them. They can be fun and arcadey, and this is neither. There isn't really that much I can talk about the Clone Trooper segments because they are pretty much the same as the Jedi segments, except you can't platform and it's a twin stick shooter. Thankfully, each level is incredibly short. It's like the developers knew the game was, well, bad and didn't want the players to suffer for very long. That or the target market was kids, and apparently they don't have the longest attention span. We'll never know what the real reason is. There are a few more things I noticed serving my time in the Clone Wars. Death seemingly has no consequence. You die and you just respawn. You might lose some skill points, but not enough to where I noticed. And you don't even have a set amount of respawns available. You can die as many times as you want and just respawn straight away in pretty much the same location. If you want to walk off the ledge, go for it. You want to make that battle droid's day and let him kill you? I mean, he's had a tough life. Let him have his time in the sun before you magically appear in front of him and slice him in half. Then there's
some circuits, secondary conductors they have. Blue they are.
Yeah.
Remember your training. You should. Remind you I will. Alone, you never are.
Thanks, Yoda. But funny enough, I was just about to...
Small platforms are easy for fire jumping.
Yoda doesn't shut up. No matter what level you're on. Mate, I put 8+ hours into this game, and Yoda was still giving me tips in the last level for stuff I already knew, and stuff I had been doing since the first hour of this game. Why? Why was this a decision? The first level, fine, but when you've literally learned and done everything there is to do in this game, and there's not that much to do in this game, and you've got someone in your ear being like, oh yeah, well press Y to use the Force. I know, man, I've been doing it. It's like, you know what it's like? You know when you've passed your driving test, and you've been driving for a while, and all of a sudden you're now X best friend is sat next to you, and you've planned this great road trip to Pleasure Beach, and every now and again he's like, ooh, braked a bit sharp then, or indicator's working, isn't he? Or worst of all, speed limit's 50, innit? It does my head in. Now, I don't want to be negative all the time, but sometimes you just have to be. I didn't play this game to do a funny because it's bad. I really wanted to find the good in this game, and if I'm honest, I kind of did. If I really hated this game, I would not have put like 8.5 hours into it, or I wouldn't have even finished it. There are some stuff in the game I actually like. First of all, does this game look as bad as some reviewers say? And I'd argue no. It doesn't look great, but I mean, it does look like the TV show. The character models, the environments are very faithful to at least the first 2 seasons of the show. Obviously, the show looked better as it went on, but considering when this game came out, I think, honestly, I really think it looks fine. Could it have looked better? Yeah, of course it could have looked better. But so could I on a Saturday night, but your mom doesn't complain. Also, the interactions and dialogue between characters, they're really fun. There's a lot of fun moments between them, mostly Obi-Wan being sassy, but, you know, I'm here for it. And whilst the overall story I found to be pretty meh, it kind of just felt like a long filler episode of the show, which, if I'm honest, isn't terrible. It is kind of fun. It's throwaway as all hell. There aren't really any twists or turns, and nothing really substantial happens, but I think that's mostly because they set the game in between Season 1 and 2, so they have to follow that canon. And if something mad happened in the game, then people would wonder why it's never mentioned in Season 2 of the show. And this isn't something that I blame the developers for. There was only so much they could work with. Thankfully, there are some characters that show up that were great, some of them were not so great. I absolutely loved everything that Cad Bane was involved in. I love the character anyway, and he works very well in this game. The developers actually put him in really interesting situations where he has to work alongside the clones and Jedi. I really enjoyed all of that. Count Dooku and Asajj Ventress show up, but they literally show up in one level and bail in the same level with little to no impact. The main boss in the game is an embarrassment called Kul Teska. You fight this dweeb like 3 times and he sucks. There isn't much else I can say about him other than he just annoyed me. I don't know, he was just boring. It's honestly the gameplay that really lets this game down. If it was a little bit more interesting and fun to play, I don't think it would have had the reputation it currently has. But you know, that's a dumb thing for me to say. That's like me going, yeah, you know, if this game, you know, was fun, the reviews would be good for it. If this game was better, yeah, I think I'd like it. What a stupid thing to say. I wrote this. I'm such an idiot. In my honest opinion, if you are currently watching Clone Wars or have a kid watching Clone Wars, and, you know, there's that crave for a Star Wars game set in that universe, just play Lego Star Wars 3. This game is clearly aimed at children, and it isn't one that I think adults could get a lot out of. It's a kid's game, and even then, just let them play Lego Star Wars 3. So that'll do for this week's video. This month, sorry, not this week's. Hi. Oh, thank you. I don't know why I did this, I just thought it was funny. But he's a bit too big. So yeah, that'll do for the Star Wars videos for now. I think I'm going to be playing Bully next. See you in a month. Remember to subscribe, and not for me, but for Biscuit, because he needs the attention more than I do. You want to go down? Bye.